Hi everyone, I am here with a true story. I hope you guys are having a good night. I just got out of the shower, so my hair is wet. My face is red, sorry. This story is by Becky Duke, and it is called A Dime in God's Pocket. We can't outgive God. You can't be too generous with Him. I've tried. I met Jeff, my husband of 34 years, at summer camp when we were in our early 20s. We married 8 months later. We had 3 kids in 4 years. We bought a dairy farm, adopted 2 more kids, and kept living life at a fast pace. I often found myself praying the words from Matthew 6:10. Father, may your will be done in our lives as it is in heaven. Just when it felt like life was settling down and we could ride the waves for a while, God prompted Grandma Duke, Jeff's mom, and a hard-working grandma of 24 grandkids, wow, to consider purchasing the old vacant Trout Lake K-12 school to turn into a summer camp. And she wanted us to be in it too. Always a dreamer, she began by wondering, how does one go about turning an old school into a summer camp? God and grit was her answer. The next few months were filled with serious and strange conversations between Jeff and me. Our roles had temporarily reversed. While I felt ready to jump headlong into this life-changing purchase, certain that God wanted us to sell our dairy farm and partner with Grandma Duke in this endeavor, Jeff did everything to fight against it. He loved our dairy farm. He loved the cows and country lifestyle, so he stood on the notion that we were never selling it. Yet through a series of miracles and because of his love for God, he changed his mind. When a stranger approached him about buying a piece of our land that we thought would never sell, Jeff knew this dairy farming days were over. He was offered $140,000 for the land, exactly the price of the old school. God sent that man. Again, we were praying, Father, your will be done. Never in my wildest dreams did I think we would waltz into a room of school board members with a meager $2,500 in earnest money, an offer so simple it looked as though a 5th grader could have written it, and 5 land sale pieces, but that's exactly what we did. And just days later, we made the phone call to the board saying, we now have the cash to buy the building. We sold our coveted family farm of 60 acres, including the 4-H animals our kids dearly loved. Like a bunch of hillbillies, we proudly moved into the old and doomy-looking school building with all our junk and a 40-horsepower John Deere tractor. The old home economics room became our main room because it had a sink, countertops, some cupboards, and a place for a stove and refrigerator. By adding a carpet remnant, couches, a table and chairs, and a few more furnishings, we did well turning it into a livable room. Our kids' friends either thought we were crazy or cool. What other family had a gym, tennis court, and multiple showers and bathrooms, and put their beds in classrooms? This fixer-upper of a school became more than a home. It developed into a simple yet significant Christian camp and retreat center. We named it Camp Jonah, where kids laugh, hearts change, and God smiles. I love that. The name Jonah came from the way we teased Jeff during our initial weeks, debating whether to go forward with the purchase. We'd say, so Jonah, are you on board yet, or are you going to jump ship again? You'd understand if you read the book of Jonah's story. Jeff thought Tarshish looked so much better than Nineveh. God wanted Jonah to go to Nineveh to preach to the people in Nineveh. They were very bad. And Jonah got on the ship to go to Tarshish. He was trying to run away from God, but it didn't work. And then when he ended up going to Nineveh, The people didn't know about God, and he told them about God, and they all changed their ways. And we're so thankful to know God, and they all changed. They didn't hurt Jonah like he thought they would. He related to the truth in this book of the Bible. When Jonah followed God, his small obedience made a huge difference in the kingdom of God. And from time to time, living in the school seemed not so different than being in the ugly and stinky belly of a fish. The years of watching Camp Jonah grow into our dream, God's dream, have been beautiful and hard. Yet every time we have a need, God provides. When our commercial dishwasher broke down, a donor stepped forward to replace it. When we asked God for a 4x4 crew cab pickup, some friends drove in and handed us the keys to theirs. Jeez. When our bookkeeper saw an upcoming of $18,000 in the forecast, a check came in the mail for the very amount. This was our story from the start. God's will was being done. After 15 years of living in the home economics classroom, Jeff and I moved into a travel trailer. I realized we were getting older. Having grandkids will do that to a person. So I took comfort in the fact that Jeff and I owned the camp property. I thought that if the road got too rough, or if we couldn't pay the bills, or if we just wanted to retire, we could sell everything. But one day God spoke to my Jonah, husband as he was, praying in his favorite prayer spot, our jacuzzi. Jeff felt a heavy sense that God was with him in the water, telling him that we were to donate the property to Jonah Ministries. We had discussed this in the past, but had always quickly put the idea aside. Of course, God wouldn't have us donate the property, we thought. A few days later, Jeff told me that he'd made a deal with God. If I brought a certain topic up with him within a week, we were meant to do something about it. My soul knew exactly what this certain topic was. I hesitated, knowing that if I said it, my earthly security would be gone. Is it about donating the building and land to Jonah Ministries? I asked with great hesitation. After a few moments of both of us sitting in shock and silence, Jeff latched on to his little pit bull. Within days, we handed the title over to our governing board. I felt sick at heart. We were now totally broke. We had no earthly treasure. The board worked out salaries for us, and I worked hard to put a smile on my face. I realized I had to accept this new adventure. Thanks to Jeff's persistence and encouragement, my smile became real. I slowly realized that what God really wanted was simple obedience. I was going to enjoy the peace that comes from simple obedience. I was going to enjoy simply saying yes to him. All we were doing was giving back to God the title to property that had been his all along. Camp Jonah now hosts more than 2,500 people per year, more than 300 of which are campers. More than 2,300 are retreat guests. We host hundreds of local people at no cost for community events, including the Trout Lake Fair church activities, youth group retreats, and supervised visits for foster children. Throughout the years, there were times my heart ached for a home of my own. We often prayed that we could somehow purchase the house next door, especially since having neighbors so close was very stressful at times because we were running a camp. Every time I felt the ache, I would quickly give over our living situation to the Lord. As I've sought God's will in my life, a certain tried and true measure of trust has grown in his ability to provide. Not long ago, the neighboring property suddenly went up for sale. Through generous donors, an amazing grant, and God's grace, Jonah Ministries purchased it. Jeff and I now live in that beautiful, often prayed for miracle home. We often ask each other when we'll have to check out of our presidential suite. The view from every north-facing window is of the majestic Mount Adams and the glorious Trout Creek. The noise from Camp Jonah's guests make us smile. Our house is often full of staff, guests, and grandchildren who fill every nook and cranny of our hearts. Once again, our faithful Father stepped in and answered our prayers His way. We got caught up in His wild dream, and we've been living in the middle of a miracle ever since. We've come to realize that doing the hardest thing is sometimes the easiest choice when our prayers remain. God, may your will be done. We are certain that simple surrender pleases Jesus, and that the blessings we are enjoying today are just a dime in God's pocket. Blessed are those who trust in the Lord and have made the Lord their hope and confidence. They are like trees planted along a riverbank, with roots that reach deep into the water. Such trees are not bothered by the heat or worried by long months of drought. Their leaves stay green and they never stop producing fruit. Jeremiah 17:7-10. Good night.